Hey St. Catharines, welcome to talkSTC. I am Mayor Matt Cisco, excited to be back with you, amazed that somehow we have made it into the middle of June. Time continues to fly by. The weather is nice. It's sometimes a little bit too hot, but we've gotten a little bit of rain in the last few days, so that's good. There's lots going on in the city right now as we get into those summer months. So we're going to highlight a couple of the things that are going on here in St. Catharines during the month of June. Today's episode is a special one. We're going to be dealing almost entirely with issues around the Indigenous community in St. Catharines and Niagara, and specifically the Indigenous Solidarity Day that's coming up this month. I've got a couple of guests, three actually from the Niagara Regional Native Center. We'll start off with my friends Dawn and Jessica and then move on to Phil, and they're going to talk about a whole bunch of things going on around Indigenous Solidarity Day, which is coming up on June 21st, as well as the other events that are going on at NRNC, not just this month, but throughout the summer and into the fall. After that, I'm going to be talking to Andrea Connelly Miele, our community events coordinator with the City of St. Catharines, and we're going to talk about the events that the city has coming up in the coming months as well. But my first guests, I am very blessed to have you here today. I have Jessica Riel-Johns and Dawn Moughtin. Moughtin?
Yep.
From the Niagara Regional Native Center. Ladies, welcome.
Thank you. Thank you.
So we're going to do a little bit of a bio here. I like to run down and give people an idea about who we're talking to. Jessica first, you are the interim co-executive director of the NRNC. You are a mother, a grandmother, an Anishinaabe Kawe? Kawe, right?
Kwe.
Okay. From Botswana.
Yes.
I said that right?
You did.
I'm working really hard. I always say this. Pronunciation is important if you want to be polite. So you got to learn how to pronounce things. You are a published author. You provide advocacy in the criminal justice system as the Indigenous Community Justice Program Director, and you support both the accused and the victims in a holistic wrap-around approach with supportive services. And you've seen that reduces recidivism rates.
It does, yeah.
Yeah, and this is something you and I have kind of connected on because I really love the system that you've got in place. And then Dawn, you are also the interim co-executive director of the NRNC. You are Haudenosaunee from Six Nations Cayuga Nation.
Yep.
Mother of two children.
I am.
Okay, and you are a center baby. Explain to me what that means.
So there is a term that people who are center babies use, and it is center baby. So essentially, I grew up in that center. I lived for many years in the house directly across the street. So I grew up in those walls. I was in the Little Beavers program. I was in the youth group there. I was a student. I did student placements there, my high school and through college, and so I was raised in those walls.
That's phenomenal.
Yeah.
I love that continuity in a community is so important, and I know in the Indigenous community it's incredibly important just to be able to pass on lessons that may have missed several generations because of what the Canadian government was involved with and what society was doing. That continuity has become even more important over the last, well, I mean, in broader society in the last couple of years, but I mean, within the Indigenous community throughout.
Yeah.
So, Niagara Regional Native Center, before we go too far, I was told I need to ask, what is an interesting thing about both of you? I love the chuckles back and forth.
Right.
Let's hear it.
I guess other than the fact that we're darn pretty. Interesting fact about me. I enjoy beading.
Okay.
Many people that know me know I do a lot of Indigenous beadwork. I make a lot of jewelry. Everything I make, I always find a home for. Somebody comments and I gift it. And I think with me and probably both Jessica, we like to consider ourselves part of that Deadly Auntie Club.
Deadly Auntie.
So again, with Indigenous people, we have, everybody's an auntie to
Yes.
each other. So when I was working programs like Healthy Babies, I was considered an auntie to everybody I worked with. And it's a loving term that Indigenous people use for us women of a certain generation. So we like to consider ourselves the deadly aunties.
Deadly aunties. Yeah. So I like that, and it's interesting. When I came into the job as mayor, but before I'd had the chance to sit down with you, I was asking, friends in the Indigenous community just about who I was about to enter into this working relationship with, and they described you, every person, as the aunties. Like that was the word that was used. Yeah. So I love that you're the deadly aunties. That's even better. Jessica, you did not escape having to give me an interesting fact about yourself.
For me, I just like new things, like new adventures, meeting new people. I'm very good at just injecting myself in people's lives. Meaning that, so there is, like, for example, we are having, after this, we have a meeting with deadly aunties. So I like making new relationships with people, right? What's the worst that they can say is no?
That's exactly it.
And taking new chances,
Yeah.
right? Published author,
Yeah.
took a chance. So I like new things. I like to challenge myself.
I love that.
Yeah.
So, in the last term of council, council entered into a memorandum of understanding with the Niagara Regional Native Center. The whole goal is to try and further, in the spirit of truth and reconciliation, the report that came from the Truth and Reconciliation Commission, trying to establish the center as our principal advisory body so that we have someone we can turn to as we're trying to figure out this path. How important do you think these types of relationships are becoming? I mean, they've obviously always been important, but I think there's a realization around it now. How important is it, and what can we as a city be doing to further that relationship?
I think it's, well, first of all, it's extremely important.
Yeah.
And I think, our former mayor, Walter, started those footsteps of collaboratively working alongside of us, not in front of us and then kind of us, trailing behind. He made sure that he always stood next to us to do that work. And that's the importance of building those relationships and building it with you as the new mayor, so that we can do that work side by side and consult with each other in a good way back and forth as to what's needed. And to build that trust, right?
Yeah.
That trust that I know if I call you, that you're gonna reach out and try to help, or if you call me, that we'll reciprocate.
Yeah, I'm a big believer that actions speak louder than words, so I'm looking forward to continuing down that path with you. What are the important things that our community needs to learn about Indigenous history here in the region? I mean, we're coming up to Indigenous Solidarity Month. I'm going to be speaking to Phil about that in a little while. What does the community need to learn and understand?
I think they need to understand that we're such a rich culture, right? And they're welcome, especially at our center, anytime, to come and learn and to observe and allow us to teach them. To be able to, like Don had mentioned, walk beside us in that journey together. I think that's a good step of just experiencing it and observing and learning from each other is very important.
One of the things that I've found as I've tried to learn more over the last 10 years is that there's a perspective of history that a lot of us learned in school, and when I delved into it, I realized that perspective of history really only comes from one side. How much of an opportunity is there for non-Indigenous folks in the Niagara region to learn the other perspective and the other side? And is that a thing that we need to be doing better?
Absolutely, it's unlimited.
Yeah,
it's unlimited. Like Jessica was saying, we don't just service Indigenous people. We have many direct service users who are non-Indigenous. We obviously, cater to our Indigenous community that needs us more, but we service everybody. But all of our programs and events that we hold, they're open. They're open to anybody. Our powwow, our community picnics, our children's programs, our summer camps. We don't limit them. They're open to everybody, and we have regular drum nights every Monday that non-Indigenous community come out, and they now, I've had people bring the djembe drums and teach us their drums, and so I think we're very open in that way to share our culture and to help educate non-Indigenous people as to who we are, what we do, the way we live, the way we interact with our community. And it is very important. It is very important for people to educate themselves on who we are and what we do and our lifestyles and our traditions. And
I think you got the telepathic waves I was trying to send you, because that was the direction I wanted us to get to with that one, was that this is open. Everything that's going on is open to the community, and we want to encourage folks who maybe don't have that background to come out and to experience it and to gain a better understanding.
Yeah.
So we're amazingly, because these things always go fast, we're at
Yes.
the end. Is there anything else you wanted to touch on?
I don't think so. I did bring a gift for you that I would.
Which is way too kind. Do you want to talk about this one?
Sure,
Okay.
sure, a little bit. So and I apologize, I am Turtle Clan. So is
So am I.
Jess.
So am I.
So we're both. So we brought you a turtle mug
I love
here,
it.
so you can have your tea and remember us.
Okay.
So this is some medicine that we brought. So we use this to smudge. Now I am Haudenosaunee, so we do our medicines a little bit different.
Okay.
But we do adopt different nations. So this was called, when I got it, they called it a hat trick.
Okay.
So it has the cedar, the sweetgrass, and the sage
Okay.
all into one stick.
So we'll put that there so people can see that. Okay.
And
So
I
it all
brought
comes
you a
in.
shell that you can put a little bit of medicine in there to
Okay.
light. I brought you some bear salve and some Mitigan salve with a little paper that explains. So it's
I appreciate-
fantastic skin cream.
I
very
appreciate
healing.
the explainer because I need that sort of stuff.
Yeah,
So-
it's in there, both sides.
That
And
is
then I brought
awesome.
you one of our traditional horn rattles.
Okay.
So these we use when we do Haudenosaunee, we do sings.
Okay.
Some people know them as socials, but we use this in our ceremonial songs and on drum night. People come out on Monday nights, we get some rattle songs going. So.
You're going to make me do some stuff at a drum night, aren't you? You're going to make. Oh.
So there is a rule. Miss Dawn has a rule. When you come to drum night, you have to sing with me. I will always stand next to you and sing with you.
Okay.
But yeah.
Well, before you leave today, we're going to make sure that we put that in my schedule so that I get out to a drum night in the very near future.
Oh, sounds good. We did put our names on here, so you.
Oh, I love it. Thank you
Remember
so
us?
much. I have no doubt I will
Right?
be
Oh,
remembering.
you will definitely remember
I
us.
am not
Yeah.
concerned about that one. Thank you so much for coming in today.
Thank you so
And
much for having us.
I'm looking forward to us doing this a couple more times. I think any opportunity to sort of speak to the public in Niagara and St. Catharines and just tell them why these things are important is huge. So thank you.
Yeah, thank
You're
you.
welcome.
All right, St. Catharines. After the break, we'll be back with my good friend Phil from the Niagara Regional Native Center. Welcome back, St. Catharines. We are into part 2 of today's episode, and I am very excited now. Another friend of mine from the Niagara Regional Native Center, Phil Davis. Phil, welcome to the show.
Thank you. Thank you for having me, Matt.
All right, we'll do a little bit of a bio again. You are the interim outreach coordinator and event planner for the Niagara Regional Native Center.
Yes.
You're a father and a grandfather of Haudenosaunee descent, both sides of your family, been raised here in Niagara.
Yes.
And this is probably my favorite piece of any bio I've read. You enjoy participating in music, both contemporary and Indigenous, traveling, community, and food is still the only reason you get out of bed.
Exactly.
I love it. Do you have what's your favorite food?
Slow.
Slow?
As long as it's slow and I can catch it.
Oh, I love that. I've never heard that before. That's phenomenal.
Yeah.
All right. So this upcoming June 21st is Indigenous Solidarity Day. There's lots of events planned for the day. Before we get into this year's, tell me a little bit. Last year's successful event.
Very successful. Yes, we had a lot of great artists. Dirk Miller, Pappy Johns again. Tom Wilson was with us. We had the Landback Unity Jam Band, which I'm a part of. That's based out of all disputes going on up in Caledonia. That's where we as musicians came together, and we're still getting together and trying to get behind good causes and everything. But hugely successful considering how hot it was last year too.
Yeah.
But it had a great turnout and great response to everything last year. And I'm probably missing a couple artists, but that was incredible day.
So this year, building on the success of last year, you're partnering with the City of St. Catharines, the PAC. My office has been
Yes.
able to help out a little bit. Tell me a little bit about the day. I know we're kicking things off at 10 a.m. at City Hall.
Yes.
What's happening after that?
Well, then we're going to shift over back to the Robertson Hall.
Yeah.
And we're going to have a question and answer period with Snotty Nose Reds Kids, the highly successful group out of Vancouver.
I love them.
Yeah, I can't wait to I've never met them before. I don't really know a lot about their music. I'm too busy, but music is music. It's our way of getting our voices out for us as human beings, and I look forward to enjoying. I love music of all different kinds. Question and answer period with them. We'll have our artisans there that'll be in the building all day long. And just hoping to gather community and just engage and have those conversations and just being celebrating who we are.
That's phenomenal. I will say, Snotty Nose Res Kids, I was introduced to them a couple of years ago, and as a rap fan, it's a jam. Like it is a lot of fun to listen to, and I mean they've got some tracks that definitely make you think about things in a very different way. And I've always said, like, that's one of the cool things about rap. I mean, I remember first starting to listen to rap. I was 12 or 13 years old, and it kind of opened up a world that I didn't even know existed. As a kid, you know, lived in suburban Ottawa, 13 years old, military family. It was a very different world. Snotty Nose Res Kids is a similar idea, but into Indigenous culture as opposed to American Black culture.
Yes.
And I think that's the power of music, right?
Yes, very much so. I remember seeing a interview with B.B. King, one of my all-time favorites, and somebody asked him way back when, so what do you think about this rap music? And he says, you leave them kids alone. He says, when we were growing up and our parents were telling us to turn it down, he says, that was our generation. This is their generation. They've got things to say. You just let them kids be and let them do whatever they're going to do, you know. And give them the opportunities in the room to do what they're going to do. And that was probably back in the early 90s, I think, of the interview. And it was like such a inspiration to hear.
That's such a great message. And I'm getting into my middle 40s, and I've got my kids coming up. And it's one of the things that I've always tried to say, like, listen, their music might be different from mine. I'm actually a little bit lucky. My oldest, at least, his music is very similar to mine, so we get along great. But that's exactly it. Like, this is how they're expressing themselves.
Yes.
And there's a message inside of how they're expressing themselves. Yes. If you want to understand them, you got to listen.
Exactly.
So on the 21st, we've got the question and answer period. There's going to be a vendor fair. The concert at the PAC. So this is free for everybody.
Yes.
But what do people have to do if they want to be able to get seats? Because there is limited seating.
Yes, there's only so many seats. Go online, check out the website, call the Niagara Regional Native Center, call the City Hall, whatever you got to do if you're not internet savvy.
Okay.
Just whatever you think you can. Go right down to the pack if you can. Go have some lunch downtown and go grab yourself some tickets.
I love it. You're selling the businesses downtown while you're selling the event.
Exactly.
I think it's great.
Well, I haven't had lunch. So.
I got a bunch of recommendations. I don't want to do it on air. I don't want to make anybody upset. So, I mean, hoping for big crowds. I know I'm going to try and be down for, at the very least, the Snotty Nose Res Kids, because they don't come through town very often.
Yes.
What are you hoping attendees take away from the events on the 21st? What's the big take home you're hoping for?
Well, just see the comradeship. The bands we have, they're all local. The three bands that we compiled, I was actually asked to be a part of it with my band, Old Child, prior to me committing to my responsibility with the center now too. So that was a long time in the making. And the other one is Low Animal. They've been around for like 25 years since they were in high school.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so it's going to be a really great two-piece show. It'll be something very different to enjoy. And of course, the legendary Pappy John's Band, and everybody who doesn't know who the Pappy John's Band, you're in for a really great treat. They're a great blues band, and you won't be able to stop moving.
Good to hear.
Yeah.
Okay, so shifting gears a little bit, June 21st though, that's the big day, but there are more events coming up this year. I know, and you're the event planner now over at NRNC. Yeah. I know I'm supposed to be playing a basketball game against your boys over at the center.
Yes.
I'm not looking forward to that. I'm going to get schooled because I've seen online how good these guys are.
Yeah.
What else is coming up? Summer and fall, what sort of big events?
Yeah, well, we were thinking about having a lacrosse game with you prior to that so we can wear you down. No, just kidding. But we have the Ride for Justice coming up for residential school survivors. That's coming up on the 24th. We're working on a surprise concert. I can't really say right now because, until I get the rubber stamp on everything, there'll be a big splash about that. Of course, our Powwow's coming up. Yeah, we're already in big planning stages, and a lot of parts are moving already.
Yeah,
and trying to get the stage set and put the right players in place so that we can be even more successful than we were last year. Last year was a great success optically. I heard a lot about great stuff back from people in the community. you know, but as we know, putting on events, you know, there's always bugs and things to work out, and you just try to do your best the next year.
I will say I had the chance to attend the powwow last year. I can't imagine it being bigger than that, so I'm looking forward to see what you have coming down the pipe.
Yeah.
No, a lot of exciting events coming up, and I've talked to some of your colleagues over at the Native Center. You know, conversations. I want to do more of this, so I'm looking forward to, you know, whatever we can to get the message from the center out into the community.
Exactly.
And Phil, I want to say thank you for coming on today.
Thanks for having me, Matt.
No, I appreciate it.
All right.
Right on. Stay tuned, St. Catharines. We will be back in just a couple of minutes with Andrea Connelly Miele. Welcome back, St. Catharines. My next guest is Andrea Connelly Miele, Community and Events Coordinator for the City of St. Catharines. Andrea, welcome.
Thank you very much for having me.
You've been with Team STC since 2020, passionate about bringing exciting and inclusive events back to St. Catharines.
Yes.
And favorite event of 2022, Born and Raised. Well done with Born and Raised.
Thank you very much.
That is one of the ones I hear a lot about. You're also a mother of a 12-year-old who plays travel baseball and the drums indoors.
Oh, yeah.
Terrible choice.
Yeah, I know.
Household of music lovers, and you're a vinyl collector.
We are.
We will have a conversation off air. My son just announced to me, 14 years old, he wants his own record player.
Oh, that's amazing.
He heard me playing Wu-Tang on my record player, got into it.
My son has one in his playroom, so it's worth watching them enjoy.
Okay, that's good to know.
Yeah.
So you started in 2020 in the events role. That must have been interesting as an events person during the middle of a global pandemic. Tell me how that worked out.
We did a little bit of shifting and pivoting, as that was the word of 2020. We delivered some programming virtually. So we researched, found some platforms that were a little more interactive than just Zoom, and we held a youth mental health event in March of 2020, I think, and that it had breakout rooms and it had keynote speakers. So we were able to deliver something that felt like you were hopping around from room to room, but in a virtual manner.
Yeah, I can only imagine, you know, progressing from that, doing the virtual stuff. I'll admit, it was last summer with Born and Raised where I kind of felt like, okay, life's getting back.
Yep.
How was that for you? Born and Raised was a huge success. How did it feel to be able to put that on after 2 years of virtual?
It was amazing to stand in the middle of it and look around and see everybody there enjoying. It was amazing to know past a certain point that we didn't have to have a contingency in place or that media release ready to go to say, just kidding, like not happening anymore. So yeah, it felt pretty incredible. And to see the response to it too, and just people enjoying themselves. It was wonderful.
I think it was necessary and the community needed that outlet.
Yeah.
So the reason you're here, the big reason, we have Canada Day, a long weekend in Lakeside Park. Tell me about what this year looks like. What is the plan?
This year we again are planning without a contingency, so it's been pretty incredible to plan. It's a full day of events. We've moved it back to Lakeside Park, which is where traditionally July 1st took place. We've got a full day and a full lineup of live entertainment. There's kids games, there are plenty of food trucks, there's craft beverages, and we're having fireworks.
Phenomenal.
So we'll be doing that from noon until 9:30, the entertainment ends, and then we'll transition right into fireworks.
That is awesome. And I know the fireworks, you know, is always a big highlight for people. I know there's some in the community that aren't huge fans, but you know, the one day of the year, I think we can all accept it as Canada Day. But it's great to hear that it's back in Lakeside Park as well. And you
it's
know,
a great spot.
It's what we said about Born and Raised. I think people are ready to just be able to have those social events and be out, you know, by the beach. Fingers crossed for the good weather. We've had a lot of it so far, so fingers crossed it keeps up. Beyond Canada Day and the long weekend in Lakeside Park, what else is planned for the summer? What sort of events do we have going on?
We are bringing back our summer concert series. So again, there's that, to go back to July 1st, I've found there's that appetite for live entertainment and that appetite for live events. So we've got 3 summer concerts returning to Montebello Park in July.
Yep.
Those are going to be on Thursdays. We're doing the 13th, the 20th, and the 27th.
Yep.
Those will also be like nice little mini festival type events. We've got a vendor market that we'll be having set up courtesy of Black Owned 905. And we've got food trucks, and we'll also have craft beverages for sale in the pavilion.
That's phenomenal. So, Hot Summer Nights. What is Hot Summer Nights?
Hot Summer Nights is very cool. This is something that was brought on by Fire Services. We launched it as sort of a soft getting back to events last summer. And what they do is they bring the ladder trucks out to local parks, and they hook up the hose up at the top of the ladder, and they basically do like a pop-up splash pad.
Oh, wow.
So with the ladder trucks. So we're doing 8 of those this summer, beginning on July 5th on Wednesdays, and they're traveling from ward to ward. So each ward will have at least one, and then a couple wards of the bigger wards will get hit twice.
That sounds...
It's super fun.
I want to know whose idea this one was.
Deputy Chief DeJong, actually. So that was her, that's her, I have to give her credit where credit is due. That was her baby. So.
That is phenomenal. So you came in during the pandemic. Now it's 2023, and you said, people have that desire, that want to get out and do social things. What's it been like for you growing in the role while that's happening? Like, how does that feel from a professional standpoint? I mean, you started in one very different place from where you are right now. Mm-hmm. What's that like?
I've found it to be a lot of fun, because I have also found it to be a bit of a reset. So I came in new to the role. The city had been doing things a certain way for a very long time, and then my seat for a spell sat empty during the early stages of the pandemic, and I came in and decided to just blow it all up and change what we were doing. So a lot more focus on live entertainment as parts of events, getting families out to enjoy music and dancing and fresh local foods. So I was able to sort of carve out a unique and new way to deliver events in the city of St. Catharines.
That's phenomenal. Lessons learned, and it sounds to me like you keep moving forward. I will say, you're going to come back in the fall, and we're going to run it back for the fall and the winter events.
Okay.
I think you get to be a regular guest, because you're Captain Fun. When it comes to cool stuff at the city, you're Captain Fun.
I get to do fun stuff for a living. That's what my son always says. He's like, she plans parties.
Awesome. Andrea, thank you so much for coming
Thanks
out today.
so much.
I appreciate it.
All right.
St. Catharines, thank you for checking in with us. One thing I wanted to mention, a thing that didn't get mentioned when I was chatting with Phil earlier in the episode, next year is the 50th anniversary of the Niagara Regional Native Center, so keep your eyes peeled for the cool things that are going on there. And I believe this year is the 40th anniversary of the Fort Erie Native Center. So a lot of awesome events and a lot of opportunities to learn more about the Indigenous culture that is right here in our community. I want to thank all of you for joining me on this episode of talkSTC. I look forward to seeing you again next time. Take care, St. Catharines. Have a great day.